Hello and welcome, Shelly.
Hi, Misty.
How are you doing?
Good.
Yay. I'm so excited that you're here for your second session. So let's start out with a recap from the last episode from your first session. So Shelly had some family struggles and she felt blocked. She didn't know how to continue to being the peacemaker that she is in the increasingly difficult family situation that she's in. I tuned in and muscle tested her for a route to process to help her to move forward in this situation. I found an emotion from her birth story. So when she was actually being born, that she felt very annoyed when she was born. So um, it's never been processed and was still showing up in her life, in her family struggles that she's going through right now. And so we processed that last Tuesday. And then, so about 6, 7 days ago. And then 3 days later, I got an update from her, and I would like to read that. So Shelly said, one thing that I've really noticed that is different is that I'm more easily finding the words to advocate for myself. I guess maybe that would relate to the feeling annoyed or hurt and being unable to have a resolution to that as a newborn. I advocate for myself and speak up often enough, but it doesn't always come as easily, as immediately, or with the clarity of thought I've experienced with my most recent conversations. This has happened both times with me really understanding my needs and expressing them clearly to my husband. Okay, Shelly, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Well, that's pretty much the latest update because over the weekend when I actually sent you that message, I was visiting my mom for like a couple of days. So I just got back home today and immediately fell asleep when I finished the long drive. So I really haven't had an opportunity to have any updates in life.
Okay, so that's good that that's continuing and that's staying kind of in place. Um, okay, so today, is there anything that you can think of that you would like to process through today? Maybe even to add if there's anything else that's kind of come up since then, or we can always muscle test for the priority. So whatever you would like to do.
Okay. So we had talked on Sunday, and I just gave you the brief update about like how I was trying to work through, some things where I felt like I needed peace, where I felt blocked, like I felt like a lot of tension in this area of my throat. And you had replied to me and mentioned, um, sending a very short little video to help with that. So I was able to do that. And, that and just self care, like taking, like water, making sure drinking water, um, taking a nap, things like that kind of helped resolve a little bit of that. But so throughout the course of Sunday, I noticed a big difference. It kind of fluctuates a little bit with life events. So,
Right. Right. So what we processed through on Sunday was some trapped emotions. You had said that there was some pressure in your throat, which kind of it goes along with what you were saying. You were able to express more clearly. So we're talking more about the throat chakra here, and so you were saying that you felt some pressure. Um, so what we ended up with processing through was some trapped emotions. Was it in your lower neck? Do I remember right?
mm-hmm.
There was a bunch of trapped emotions stuck in her lower neck, which is actually a part of the throat chakra system. Um, so I'm thinking, I'll ask you after this. I was kind of thinking that maybe because the lower neck came up, that it was maybe pulling and causing pressure on your throat, in your throat area. How does your throat area feel now? Do you still feel that pressure?
No, after I reviewed your video a few times just to make sure I got it all, and like, so after doing that like 3 times, I was like, I kind of going through the process and then just kind of like sitting with it and like focusing on the feelings. It helped process most everything, and So it feels a lot different than it did like Sunday morning when it just hit all at once.
That's interesting. That's so interesting
Or
that
maybe I just noticed it, whereas other things were keeping it more suppressed previously. I'm not
it's
sure if that
it's
is the
absolutely
case.
possible because I like to think about things as an onion. The onions have layers. So this top thing that we processed last week, we got rid of that, and now what I think is happening is you're feeling kind of that next level where it, like what you're saying, it was kind of subdued underneath, and maybe even kind of confused in the mix of it, and now you're great, feeling it all of a sudden because it was there, but you couldn't necessarily feel it or even explain it. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
like I said, I was thinking of the word suppressed, like it's
yes.
just suppressed under all this other stuff, like you said, the
Yeah.
onion layer. So that's a good description of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's this work is so interesting because you can kind of see the big thing on top that needs to be processed, but the next level really does, like you say, kind of pop out sometimes. Like it's blatant now because that other thing is gone. Um, it's very interesting work, but just it's very fulfilling finding those layers and processing through them because ultimately you just feel better.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about maybe doing a little more work instead of having to do with kind of your role in the family and bettering your role and being more of a peacemaker in your family, of moving more towards your relationship with your husband and how you can um, process something, work within yourself that might help your relationship with your husband now. Can you expound on that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. I mentioned in last session that we met last week that we've worked on our communication. We've done all the things, all the couple things that you try to do to, make things work a little more smoothly with
Right.
communication, with just seeing each other, hearing each other, um, understanding and like listening to each other. And although things have have gradually gone in that direction, it's always been a bit of a roller coaster for us. So
Mhm. Yep.
there's still stuff that gets in our way, and I think a lot of it is just the way you're raised influences how you perceive things. It influences what you're sensitive to. It influences how you communicate, all the things. So the experiences you have throughout your lifetime make you who you are, and sometimes that's a good thing because experience is good for us. But other
Right.
times it makes things challenging just because you're two very different people, and you're trying to like work through all of life's battles together and trying to figure out how to
Trying
be
not to make it a battle against each other too,
against
right?
each other. Yeah.
I've always thought, these, I don't know, maybe battles, these things that come up between people, between couples, um, they, I don't know, they have the potential to make each of you better and to, allow you to grow. But as long as you're doing it in a healthy way, you're not going to grow if you're screaming and hollering and fighting every single thing and not working things out. So it's interesting, it's kind of, you step up a next level every time you get through, something. And yes, there's always something else in life that can come up, but you've been married for a long time. You've created a family and you've grown through that whole, through all of that. So, what we're going to work on today, I don't even know what that is. I'll figure that out in a little bit. But what we're going to work on today is like the next little step to help you with whatever may be blocking you in your relationship, or just whatever will help you to better yourself and to, elevate it, to help your relationship. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to check to see what's right on top that can help you with your relationship. Um, and yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna use my handy dandy little pointer finger over here and muscle test. Is it okay if I muscle test you?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh, and limiting belief comes up. Okay. So I have this book. Let me go back to the over 1,000. Let me see. It keeps on. Let me get to the front again. When I open it up in Kindle, it just goes straight into the inner workings of the books. Okay, so it's called Over 1,000 Categorized Positive and Negative Beliefs by Jenny Rossen. I might butcher this. Rosengren, Rosengren. Um, and she has a little chart with it, kind of a little bit like the emotion code chart, if you're familiar with that at all, or even like you and I like to use the emotion wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it helps you for the little chart. It goes by chakras, and it allows you to get to a certain belief or emotion to process. So I'm going to test and see what chakra we're working with. It's my guess is the throat chakra, but I could be wrong since we're kind of moving on to a different theme here. So it's actually sacral chakra.
Is that also associated with like hip pain and things?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, absolutely. Um, so sacral chakra.
We have a friend that's a massage therapist, and she does some um, craniosacral therapy, and she has worked on my on my just massage before, and part of it's just being a runner, but my hips were probably storing a lot of like trapped emotions, like that area, the sacral area. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's gonna come? These are emotions, um, that are coming up, or that can come up. It's not even necessarily a limiting belief, but these end up being some different emotions that than what are in the emotion wheel a lot of the times. So for some
okay.
reason, it comes up as a limiting belief, but it's actually an emotion that's coming up. So what I'll do is ask you. I'll figure out what emotion it is, but then I'll ask you what do you have a belief surrounding this emotion? We'll kind of work on it a little bit. Um, so I'm going to say these out loud. It doesn't mean that that's what's coming up, but it just means that I'm muscle testing through them to see um, what comes out for you. So, so unworthy, inflexible, stubborn. So betrayed comes up. So they're proved a time frame age 0 to 5. Your birth story is coming up again. Feeling betrayed at birth. Um, I don't know if there's any real way to know why you would feel betrayed when you were born, but does anything come up for you when like ask yourself that? How, I felt betrayed at birth.
Well, when my mom and I were talking about this a little bit recently. When
Oh,
I was born, I was about 6 weeks early, I think, and Vanderbilt meta-flighted another baby from the unit, and they saw me and they said, "Can we take her too?" So I know that I was struggling to survive at birth, and soon after birth. So I was pulled from her. She wasn't able to even talk to me by phone. I mean, like sometimes they'll put the phone up. Sometimes they used to put the phone up to the babies, back in the day. But they were just like, "Oh, no news is good news." They told her that. So I know there was a separation, and
wow.
so that could be part of it. I don't really know that that's exactly what the situation was, but I do know at least that much. And I've had some complications, obviously, just a lot of things going on, and um,
I think, you're so close to your mother while you're in her womb.
mm,
And to just be separated, like you can feel that energy. Like, you know, I, we, babies come up with all of these emotions and everything, later in life. We're finding these emotions and like they don't know what they are in the moment, but they're still feeling things. I mean, babies cry, babies have, moods and mood swings and, emotions. They're happy sometimes. And so these heavy emotions are what are coming up
mm,
now. Um, and that makes a lot of sense because you're pulled from that motherly loving energy all of a sudden. Like, what the heck is going on? You
yeah,
know, all these people, all this chaos, you're feeling that.
mm-hmm,
So I could see how betrayal could come up there. Like you
mm-hmm,
feel betrayed, you don't get those first moments with your mom. They pull you away.
mm-hmm,
Um, it's so interesting sometimes because like I muscle test things and like
mm-hmm.
I don't know how it makes any sense, but what do you know? So that's very very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So um I think we should work on, we're going to come up with our own belief here with betrayed. I think we should work on, I felt betrayed when I was born because I was pulled away from my mother. And that could honestly be a very first type of mother wound, if you will. Um, so that's also interesting too. But I don't know. I'll ask. Let's process through that, and I want to ask you afterwards. Kind of. You're a mother. You've had kids, and how this might, feed into your marriage. Um, how this could help with that. Somehow it's gonna, but this was the route that came up to help. But yeah, let's process through that. So I invite you to tap on the points that I tap on and repeat after me.
Okay.
So start with the karate chop point. Even though
Even though
I felt betrayed when I was born
children were
because I was pulled away from my mother so soon.
because I was pulled away from my mother so soon.
I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
and I choose to process this feeling of being betrayed when I was born,
and I choose to process this feeling of being betrayed when I was born,
and I give it to my Savior, Jesus Christ.
and I give it to my Savior Jesus Christ.
And take a big deep breath. Inner eyebrow. This betrayal that I felt when I was born
This betrayal that I felt when I was born
because I was pulled away from my mother so soon,
because I was pulled away from my mother so soon,
even though I was having issues that needed attention.
even though I was having issues that needed attention.
I felt that betrayal of not being able to be with my mother
I felt that betrayal of not being able to be with my mother
because I felt so much space in between us all of a sudden.
because I felt so much space in between us all of a sudden.
I felt torn from my mother so soon,
I felt torn from my mother so soon.
whereas before I felt like I was so close to her.
Whereas before I felt that I was so close to her.
Take a big deep breath right there. The betrayal I felt when I was born.
The betrayal I felt when I was born.
Inner eyebrow. I give myself permission to process this betrayal now.
I give myself permission to process this betrayal now.
I process this betrayal from my body now.
I process this betrayal from my body now.
And I picture giving it to my Savior.
And I picture giving it to my Savior.
Big deep breath. Okay, how does that feel? Are there any feelings, emotions, anything in there?
It's like it feels like a little bit of light peeking through. I don't really feel anything physically like different. Sometimes my hips, like I mentioned, sometimes my hips bother me a little bit. I don't have like I'm not aware of any like current pain. I do have a high pain tolerance, so so
You would
I
have
could just be
to.
ignoring it. but but yeah, it seems like it's like I don't know, more hopefulness, more like just you know, just slight changes in feeling.
It's interesting working on these roots, on these things that aren't happening like necessarily in the moment, but you process them, and it's not necessarily a physical thing. It's kind of what you say. You feel some, you feel more light. It feels a little more nightmare, and it's these kinds of things really do take some space and some time to kind of see, like what we found out last week.
Mm-hmm.
So now tell me, are you finding any correlation at all with your husband? Do you think this is just something that you needed to process through to maybe better yourself, to be able to be more present for your relationship? Or I don't know, what are your feelings towards that?
One thing that stood out to me when you asked me what I was feeling, and I was like, and I like the word hope stood out to me, and that's something that we kind of have trouble with when we're in our rough spots, is like just having hope that we can figure things out. And so when a couple feels kind of like hopeless at times, it can color like everything, even though it's just like a temporary like setback. And like I said, in overall there's been like a lot of work, and all you as humans, we have this tendency to see everything negatively, or they say you have to have like like you have to have more positives than negatives, because you're going to remember the negatives more often, as it's human nature.
We're our own worst critics. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think maybe being able to look at things in a positive light, feeling more hopefulness in general could impact things like with our current situation, because like the family situation brought stress between us too, to some extent.
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to work through the fallout of that.
So what's interesting here too is that when you process something like this, it's also making room to being able to hold space for more right now. Um, more everyday daily life, more of what you're going through. You'll have more mental capacity even to be able to think better, be more productive in these kinds of things that come up, rather than maybe just shutting down, or you'll be able to hold more space. um, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're working to bring more light, and to bring a lot more capacity and space, so that you can better deal with life as it comes up too.
Yeah.
So let's tap in the positive now. Taken it, we've processed through the past thing, and let's tap in a positive emotion now. I'm just pulling up that color wheel. Love, something having to do with joy. I love it. Okay. Okay, so enthusiastic comes up.
Okay.
And this can honestly be so annoying to a lot of people, just to tap in, I am enthusiastic. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right. It's like I don't really feel like saying it even. But like towards the end of it, and we did one last time. It was a different positive that we tapped in, but you start to be able to kind of embrace it at least, and feel it more. So let's tap in. I am enthusiastic. Ready?
Okay.
Let's start up here. I am enthusiastic.
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 I think I got a bigger and bigger smile out of you every single one of those tapping points. I love it. I love it. Okay. Um, anything else that's kind of coming up to your mind after tapping that in?
I can't think of anything right now.
I mean, that's honestly the whole point. We get you to neutrality by doing these things. So, you know, that's actually a good sign that nothing's, you know, really coming up. So that's awesome. Okay, Shelly, thank you for
Thanks.
being a part of this. I'm grateful for you. And please keep me updated and let me know if, you know, if you have another throat chakra, whatever, anything comes up from this, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Stay on here with me, and yeah, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.